Hello and welcome to my Infinite Roleplay channel. I here am Nelson with the most powerful Jarl DM,
Hello.
and this is what we're going to be doing. Chatting about 13th Age and some of the rules differences and how to play. 13th Age is, I don't have the names handy right now, but it was made by two gentlemen, one of which helped to make Dungeons and Dragons 3rd edition, the other helped to make Dungeons and Dragons 4th edition. Some people out there cringe at the thought of 4th edition. Uh,
I'm not opposed.
yeah,
It says here Rob Heinzu and Jonathan Tweet. There you guys.
yeah, there you go, there you go. You know what? I'm an idiot because I got the book right in front of me. Art by Lee Moyer and Aaron McConnell. What the hell? It's right on the cover. However, some people don't like 4th edition, and I enjoyed it, but every game has its shortcomings. When I picked up 13th Age, it looked like they covered those shortcomings
Right.
and
I mean,
put some.
I played fourth edition, and I think it's a really good tactical game. You know.
Okay, well, something like this you would notice. Let me just pull up the sample character sheet. By the way, I've uploaded about I don't know 30, 33 images of character sheets for one shots.
Hmm.
That one, when I start doing 13th Age one shots, people can just grab a character sheet of
Yeah.
something they like and get stuck in because character creation, like in 4th edition, is kind of long
Hmm.
because you've got all your at wills and encounters and whatnot. Like you can see all these pretty little colored bars: the green, the orange, the red, the black, and whatnot. It's very similar to 4th edition, where the at will abilities, which are colored green,
Yeah.
they're just at will.
Oh,
One of
I
the,
can see this sheet. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
yeah,
This-
one of the biggest differences in 13th Age though is you can see on this specific character sheet melee basic attack and ranged basic attack. Damage is not based on your weapon.
Okay.
Not so much.
Hmm.
It's more based on your class, your character class.
Hmm.
So when you open up the book during character creation, they have a listed value of light, medium, and like two-handed melee weapons, and what kind of damage and attack proficiency they have with that weapon. So it doesn't matter if you're swinging a great axe, a great sword, a naginata, an odachi,
Hmm.
or a dagger. It's just the sort of size category of weapon and how well your character class is trained in that specific type of weapon.
I get you.
So that's what the damage is based on. Everything in this character sheet is pre-calculated.
Hmm.
Uh, one big difference is the red box is an encounter power.
Yeah.
You you don't need to necessarily rest to get encounter powers. They're available at every encounter, but only
Hmm.
once per encounter,
Yeah.
unless the character sheet says otherwise. Some may be available two, maybe even three times per encounter. Now, your so-called dailies, you know, you only get those per what's called a full heal or full rest.
Yeah.
So when you rest 8 hours, you recharge your daily, much like 4th edition. One of the biggest difference is you can see that some of these dailies, it says recharge 11 plus.
Yeah.
You can use it in a battle, but after the battle is over, you roll a d20, and if you roll the specific number or higher, in this case 11 or higher, you retain the use of that ability for the
Okay.
next battle.
Hmm.
So that's something that's pretty different. I chose the Bard because this is possibly the only game that I really want to play a Bard in. Because Bards actually have battle cries and songs.
Okay.
And the battle cry is, similar to like Bardic Inspiration. They have like a one-shot hit of magical ability. Like pull it together is a
Yeah.
battle cry, right? It's
Oh
something
yeah, I
called
see.
yeah, it's something called a flexible attack, which means it can be triggered.
Hmm.
And over here, the trigger is if you roll a natural 11 or higher. So when rolling the d20, if you roll 11 or more, you get to trigger, pull it. You can trigger, pull it together.
Okay. Yeah.
And basically, the effect is one nearby ally can heal using a recovery, much like fourth edition. And
Like a healing surge, right?
yeah,
Hmm.
recoveries are like healing surge or your number of hit die that you get in fifth edition.
Hmm.
But I think I might be getting ahead of myself. Maybe we should just go over some of the basics. So, some of the biggest differences is range. There's no specific ranges. There are range categories, and there are only three of them. There's engaged, nearby, and far away. They're kind of self-explanatory. When you're engaged with an enemy, you're in melee. You're fighting face to face. Nearby is any place where you can conceivably reach within a normal move, 30, 40 feet.
Hmm.
Far away is everything further than that, which is pretty good for like a theater of the mind situation
Yeah.
because,
Numenera has that too, a similar thing where it's like
yeah,
immediate distance. It's just like it's vague enough. You know.
yeah. That's one difference. Another difference is another huge difference. I think is the one unique thing. So in 13th Age, you can choose one thing about your character that you can personalize about your character. It can be anything as long as it's not a mechanical advantage. Like you can't say, "Well, I'm the only elf in the world that can breathe fire."
Hmm.
That's one pretty unique thing,
Certainly.
but it has a mechanical advantage.
Yeah.
Now, depending on your DM, they may allow that, but it's a give and take. They may take something away from you.
Yeah.
Like it'll specifically say it in the rule book as well. If you're allowing for a mechanical advantage, you're taking a mechanical advantage away.
Hmm.
But most times, your one unique thing could be like, I'm the only elf that was a slave in a traveling demon circus. It really has nothing mechanically involved,
Right.
but it's just for role play, and it may take part in the story.
Right. It's a bit like an aspect in Fate, like I guess, where it's like you can
Yeah,
call on it to kind of be like, oh, because I X, I might know about this.
no, not quite. That's how they do skills in
Mm.
13th Age.
Okay.
The way skills are done is that you get a number of background points. You get 8 background points to start, and you can put up to a maximum of 5 in any background. The backgrounds are entirely up to you. How you doing, brother?
Not bad, man. You mind if I lurk a bit?
No, not at all. Like I was saying, the backgrounds are entirely up to the player. You can choose to be a regular soldier. You can choose to be the ringleader in a circus.
Hmm.
You can choose to be a tanner, a farmer. Your backgrounds, like I said, are up to you, and you can put a number of points into your background. The way skills are is that if you come up against a situation that calls for a skill roll, like climbing the sheer surface of a wall, you would be given a difficulty. It's pretty much a strength sort of skill. You need to be strong to climb a wall. So you would add your strength modifier, but as far as your skill modifier, you look into your backgrounds, and you have to come up with a conceivable reason why that background would apply to the current use of what you need to do. Like if I was a circus performer and needed to climb a wall, I could argue, well, it's from climbing all the nets and setting up the rigging for the high
Hmm.
wire performers.
I get you.
And
Yeah.
depending on how good the reason is, the DM may allow you the full use of points that you place in that background or partial use. Like if you come up with a weak excuse for climbing, like I was a sheep herder, I want to use it for climbing because I did a lot of walking and swung my stick a lot. That's kind of a weak reason.
Yeah.
So you might get 1 point if any. But when it comes to negotiating, you know, what is it, husbandry prices,
Yeah,
then you would have a background in that.
that makes sense.
Yeah, which is a really, I think, is an awesome use of how
Mhm.
to do skills, because it
Yeah.
incorporates like Dungeons and Dragons Fifth Edition. They have backgrounds, and you can get skill proficiencies in your background. But in 13th Age, your entire skill set comes from your different backgrounds.
Yeah, they've got a variant for that in the DMG as well, where you can use background to get skills. I think it's a really cool idea. That's cool.
Um, Another pretty different thing is icons. There are no gods or pantheon of gods per se in 13th Age. There is just a pantheon of really powerful individuals.
Mhm.
And these individuals may change over time, but the title they hold is usually filled by the next person that's powerful enough to fill that role. Like the Orc Lord is one of the icons. He's the most powerful orc around. He rallies the orcs to his cause, and he leads them in a bloody war against everyone else.
Mhm.
In the beginning of the game, during character creation, you would get a number of points to associate with your icons. I believe it's 3. Now you can choose to have a positive, sort of neutral, or negative relationship with an icon. Again, talking about the Orc Lord, you can choose to have 1 point negative relationship with the Orc Lord,
Mhm.
meaning that the Orc Lord doesn't like you specifically for some reason or another. And orcs in general are not going to like you either. You might think that, oh, that sucks. Why would I ever take something negative that would hurt my character? You can invoke your relationships during gameplay,
Mhm.
and say if you were fighting orcs, you can be like, well, I have a negative relationship with the orc lord, so I'm better at fighting orcs because I fight them so often. So
Yeah.
I invoke that icon relationship to get some sort of mechanical bonus when fighting orcs. And positive icon relationships, they work similarly. Like there's this high druid is another icon, and say maybe you have a couple of points in a positive relationship with the high druid, and you were stuck in a forest and you didn't know where to go, or you were being tracked, or you were lost with no supplies. You can invoke that relationship during gameplay to say maybe have some druids just happen upon you and help you out.
Pretty cool.
It's
Mhm.
yeah, it's I think it's a mixture of pretty specific and pretty loose rules, but where they need to be. The combat stuff is pretty specific, and everything else is nice and loose. And even within the rule book, it says to change up the rules, use what you want, and whatever benefits gameplay.
Mhm.
Like rituals. Say if a wizard or a cleric or any character class that is able to cast a spell as a ritual spell decides to do a ritual. There's no specific effect for a ritual. You would just, you know, ask your DM, look, I want to cast Fireball as some sort of ritual. And I want the end effect to be this. Like, I want to make it rain fire for a day over an enemy, over the battlefield on the enemy side. Then your DM would be like, okay, well, you would need to maybe get special reagents, maybe an artifact, spend X amount of hours preparing and casting the ritual, and then give me a roll afterwards.
Mhm.
But it's very loose and interpretive.
Hmm. Yeah. I think I'd definitely give it a go. Sounds pretty nifty.
Yeah, I think it's pretty awesome. Like
Mm.
It's just that there's so much you can do with characters now, at least in 13th Age.
Hmm.
Like, let me pull up that character sheet again. All those little things are like 4th edition. All those little things are special attacks, and they're specific to each character class.
Hmm.
It's not like bards, they have a spell list, but all the spells work exactly the same. Bards work completely different than wizards and sorcerers.
Yeah.
Sorcerers work completely different from wizards. There's absolutely nothing that they have in common. Like, going back to the bard, bards have bard songs. Bard songs have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Their ending is something called the final verse. Right?
Mhm.
And let's see. I'm going to read Song of Heroes. The target is nearby allies. So any allies nearby. You have an opening and sustaining effect. Every round you want to sustain this, you spend an action and you roll a d20. As long as you roll 11 or higher, you may maintain this effect indefinitely.
Mm.
All you do is you're spending your action singing, maintaining your effect. So you're literally performing. Mechanically, you are performing.
Yeah.
So what you do for Song of Heroes is you and your nearby allies gain a +1 attack bonus until the start of your next turn. So you can possibly maintain that +1 bonus for an entire fight.
Right.
Now the final verse, if you fail your sustain roll or you make the choice to sing your final verse, the effect ends immediately, but one ally of your choice gains a +2 to their next attack roll this battle.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So you can pick your your heavy hitter. Something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so bards literally sing. Like, singing and performing is a mechanical and thematic part of what they do. They're not passing around bardic inspiration die or, yeah, I'm a bard. La la la, here's inspiration.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like you're spending your actions actually singing, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
And they also have the battle cries, like one nearby ally, pull it together. One nearby ally can heal using a recovery. So your ally's using one of their own recoveries, but during combat, they can only do it when they rally. And rallying is just like a second wind in 4th edition. Except that it stipulates that you have to come up with some sort of roleplay reason for you to rally. When you rally, you can spend 1 recovery die. And the dice you roll is different depending on the class. But pull it together. It's a battle cry. Somebody is getting beaten battle, and you roll your natural 11 or more. You turn around and yell out to them, pull it together, and they
Yeah.
basically get a second win. They get to push a little harder in battle. Pull it together in this specific character build has a feat attached to it, which improves this battle cry. And it says the target adds +1d4 per point on the escalation die. Oh, that's something I forgot. I can't believe I forgot to talk about that. The escalation die. That is a huge difference in how this game is played.
Hmm.
During combat, you get a d6. The d6 starts at 0. For every round combat is pressed, the d6 goes up by 1 point. So say during like a surprise round, per se, it starts off at 0. If you attack the enemies attack you, you're pressing the attack, the fight is escalating. So the escalation die goes up by 1. Next round, if you're still pushing the fight, it goes up by 2. If everyone is cowering and nothing goes on, it can either remain the same or drop. So it's a motivation to keep a fight going, to keep it going fast. For every point on the escalation die, a player gets a bonus to hit equal to the escalation die. So if the escalation die reads a 3, every player adds an additional +3 to their to hit rolls. Again, pressing and elevating combat. The escalation die is a D6, so the max you can get on it is a 6. But there are a lot of specific powers and abilities that work utilizing the escalation die. Like that battle cry, pull it together. Once you have the feat for that battle cry, the target adds 1d4 of healing for every point on the escalation die. So if you're in a long drawn out like boss battle and your fighter or barbarian, up in the front fighting the big boss is taking a beating and you roll your 11 plus, say maybe you were singing your song and you're rolling to maintain it, you can then yell out, pull it together, and they get to use a recovery dice plus up to 6d4 to heal themselves.
Yeah, it's pretty nifty.
Yeah. Also, the barbarian has a rage. Rage is an encounter power that recharges.
Yeah, I read that. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. However, if you have the feat for rage, if the escalation die is like 4 or 5 or higher, you can rage for free.
Oh, sweet.
So, even if you don't expend your rage.
Yeah.
So you could just hold off on that rage until the battle is, hot and heated enough, and then go into a rage. And as long as the escalation die is 4 or higher, you get a free rage. There's also certain abilities and skills that if you can get to use a recovery, if the escalation die is high enough, that recovery is free. So you don't spend it.
It's pretty cool. It's like thematic as well, I think, because battle does ramp up, I think,
Yeah, of course. It doesn't. Don't get me wrong. I love D&D. I love 5th edition. 5th edition is, I love it for what it's worth, for what it is. But it doesn't do combat very well. Like, you have to add a lot of your own flair to combat.
Right. It's not a combat sim. Yeah.
Yeah. This is not a combat sim either, but it brings more.
Yeah.
To combat. It helps people. I find people, not everyone, of course, but I find people have a separation between social roleplay and combat roleplay.
Right.
I
see that stuff as just. I see like social challenges, skill challenges, and combat challenges all as, combats. They're all challenges that certain characters have to win.
Yeah, they're all experiences in life of a fictional character you're playing, and they all experience each individual experience the same. There's got to be a continuity that you apply to that most people don't like to do. Once they go into fighting, it's a disconnect. But here, you have things to help you get more in the mood of playing your character or help you play your character a little bit more thematically. Like bards, the fact that you literally sing every round is amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Like, yeah, like that there's a mechanical benefit for you just singing is pretty cool.
Yeah. It's let's see if I can pull up another one.
Barbarian Rage is awesome as well.
Oh yeah, that is sick.
You just basically get to roll 2d20s, and if you roll an 11 on each of them, it's an auto crit, which I think is good. Because it's like that's if you're fucking freaking out and you're a big dude, like you're gonna be hitting hard.
Yeah, it's a lot better than say just the +2 damage bonus you get when you're playing 5th edition.
Yeah.
You just a big.
Like the game seems to be ramped up a lot. Like the characters seem more powerful, but I guess the bad guys are also more powerful.
Everything in that game is a little bit more.
Yeah.
There are only 10 levels in the game.
Okay, right.
That's like Numenera as well, right?
There's only 6 in Numenera, yeah.
Okay. There's very little, a small amount of levels, but each level is very powerful.
Yeah.
Like the character sheet I have up for this bard, right? He's only a bard, and he's only second level, but he starts off with 40 hit points.
Mhm.
You know, that's like a third or fourth, maybe even fifth level bard in 5th edition.
Yeah.
You know, a bard's not going to start off with 40 hit points or 30 hit points.
Yeah.
You know, in 13th age, when you begin play, you are a hero, you are a champion, you are a badass. There's no question about that. You know, another thing I like about 13th age is the way they do minions. Like, I've been doing damage bleed forever, just pulling hit pools and letting damage pool over,
Mhm.
because I like to do big battles. I like to
Yeah.
make, players feel like they're fucking awesome by killing a lot of little guys,
Mhm.
rather than just like tree chopping one big guy every fight.
Yeah.
Um, in 13th age, they actually have a mechanic for that. They call it mooks. You know, if you're fighting a mook, he's part of a group. So they have a pool of hit points, and the damage bleeds over. And you can kill multiple mooks in one hit.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. Because that's something I think is lacking from D&D is the ability to, or 5th edition anyway, the ability to, like, if you're fighting a shitload of goblins and you're, high enough level, you should be able to cleave through them with relative ease, I guess wizards can do it, but fighter still has to hit each one individually,
Yeah, I heard of one rule in 5th edition that cleave is now an optional rule in the game that is similar to like
it's in
damage
DMG.
bleed. Yeah, you carry your damage over to the next guy, but it's an optional rule in a separate book.
Mhm.
So you have to have all 3 books to get an all-encompassing experience of the system.
I could be wrong, but I think cleave is actually a feat, isn't it?
It's in the no. You can get cleave from the Great Weapon Master, but there's a variant in the DMG that allows you to like the old feat where you get your extra damage if you overkill goes to the next creature.
Yeah, it's not about necessarily dropping an enemy to 0 and getting a brand new attack. It's just about moving your overkill damage to the next enemy.
Mhm.
In 5th edition. Here, as long as you're fighting mooks, you're spreading your damage all around, and if for some reason you have an ability that targets multiple mooks, you're multiplying the amount of damage that goes into that one group, possibly killing 3, 4, or 5 of them at a time.
Mhm.
As long as thematically it makes sense. You're not going to swing a great axe and kill 3 guys that are next to you, and the 4th guy 50 feet away automatically dies.
Right. Yeah.
But that's another thing about 13th Age. They have no AoEs. They have spells and abilities that affect a random additional amount. So, Magic Missile may target up to 1 D3 nearby allies. Right?
Mhm.
And, other spells like that. They're fire. The Dragonborn are just a draconic race. Because, Wizards holds Dragonborn as a copyright.
Yeah.
So they're just a draconic race, and their fire weapon targets 1 D3 nearby enemies. But with mooks, you could take out 10 of them in a single shot. And it also makes the individual monsters a little bit more badass. If you're fighting...
Yeah, they stand out, I guess.
Yeah, they do, because... Let's see, let me turn to the back of the book, see if I can find them. Okay, goblins, right? Everybody likes killing goblins. Alright, let's see, Goblin scum. It's pretty much what everybody fights, right? They've got a club and a short bow. They're a level 1 mook. Alright? And they have 5 hit points. If you kill you kill 1 goblin scum for every 5 damage you deal to the mob. So irregardless of which individual one you're attacking, as long as that mob takes a cumulative 5 damage, 1 dies.
Okay.
I like that they incorporated this into the actual game.
Yeah. Mhm.
Instead of like me having to home rule it and figure out who do I make mooks, or not.
Right.
But then you have a Goblin Grunt. Goblin Grunt is also level 1, but he's a level 1 troop. So he's like the rank and file. He's an individual. He has very similar stats, except for that his his hit points is 22.
Okay.
So where you can have between 5 or 6 goblin scum, you can only kill 1 goblin grunt
Hmm.
for that same amount of total damage,
Yeah.
and for the same amount of hits. So it's done nicely that way, I think.
Yeah. It seems pretty cool. I definitely would try it out. Like I was saying just yesterday to Heath that I would try playing 4th edition again. I would try and give it a go with my, like, now that I have knowledge of RPGs and how they work and stuff. I think it would be cool to do, like, a more tactical game, because all I play is like super narrative games.
Yeah.
So it would be fun to just do like a fucking romp and stomp, just like get some fighting out. And I think this is like a pretty cool way to do it. It seems pretty nifty.
Yeah, this is my go-to before 4th edition. I think. I
It
haven't
seems,
had the opportunity to run one yet,
hmm
but I'm really dying to.
It seems like more heroic, more epic. You know what I mean? It's like they have rules in the DMG for like epic campaigns where you rest for 5 minutes and whatever. Like this seems more like epic heroes who are like really just taking names, and that's like fun to play as well.
Yeah, but you could easily make this gritty simply by doing that long rest rule,
Yeah,
long rest variant, where a short rest is a day, is 8 hours, and a long rest is a week.
yeah.
And it actually has more of an effect here because, your
daily-
daily abilities
Mhm.
would be considered that much more greater,
Mhm.
especially since you only get like 1 or 2 at a lower level. Even though you're having, a good amount of hit points to survive that long, you don't have to worry about taking 1 hit and dropping.
Yeah.
One thing I haven't discussed yet are the defenses. While something like 5th edition has the armor class, and then you have your saves, so you have 6 separate saves, 1 for each stat,
Mhm.
and then you have your armor class. In 13th Age, you have a save, which is just a flat number, and then you have your defenses. You have 3 separate defenses. The first defense is armor class. Again, armor class is regardless of the specific type of armor you wear.
It's just the category.
Yeah, it's just a category. Are you
Yeah.
wearing heavy armor? And how much armor can you benefit from with your character class? And how does it affect, your character's abilities?
Hmm.
Some characters can throw on some armor, get a couple of points of AC, but then all their attacks are at a minus. All their dice rolls are at a minus.
Right. Numenera has a very similar system. Yeah.
These little arbitrary numbers I like a lot because it helps you kind of theme your character a little bit more.
Hmm.
And these, visually or paint a visual picture of your character. But of course, you have your armor class. After armor class, you have your physical defense. Your physical defense is more or less equivalent to your touch AC from like 3rd edition. How can you defend yourself against a physical attack that doesn't require or that your armor gains no benefit from?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Then you have your mental defense. Instead of having a will save, your mind is protected up to a certain amount. So an enemy has to beat your mental defense to affect you with some sort of mind-affecting thing.
Hmm.
And that's pretty much how the defenses work. Like a psychic attack would attack your mental defense, a sword is going to attack your AC, and maybe a grapple will target your physical defense. There's a lot of other things too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely interested in trying it out. Like I say, a lot like I'll try anything once, and it seems like pretty decent. I would definitely try it. So if like you're willing to run it, or I think your man Bryce is quite into it as well. I would definitely try it out. I'd be into it.
Yeah, I'm prepping to run it. That's why I'm posting so many
Regens.
so many pre-gens up, so I can have like a little library that people could just access a pre-gen, download
Yeah.
the photo, and have everything at their fingertips pretty much.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because character creation is kind of in depth,
Yeah.
and if you don't know what you want, you're not going to have any idea where you want to go.
Hmm.
Because a fighter is totally different than a barbarian.
Yeah.
Every class is so specific in what they can do.
Right, they fill different roles.
Yeah. And they approach things entirely differently.
Yeah.
Like one of the things a sorcerer can do is they can choose to gather power. Because sorcerers have such an innate connection to the raw force of magic, and they have draconic power running through their veins, they can sit there and literally gather that power. When they're gathering power, you roll on a small, very small chart to see what kind of effects happen while they're gathering power. Like one of the things that their AC may increase, or they may be shooting little wisps of lightning at nearby enemies. And the round after you gather power, you cast a spell. Your spell hits twice as hard.
That's
So
pretty cool.
it has twice the effect, it deals twice the damage, or it'll hit twice as many people.
So you can like make the choice to like basically spend a turn casting, like gathering power to you and then really blast somebody. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah. Wizards have the ability to do ritual magic, which we discussed earlier.
Mhm.
You could just choose a spell and be creative with what you want to do with it, and say, I want to do this as a ritual. And depending on how cool your DM is or how outrageous the request is,
Yeah.
it'll depend whether or not you can do it and how much it would take to do that. Like casting magic missile, but at 100 people.
Hmm. Right. I see
You
what you
know,
mean.
okay, yeah, it's feasible, but it's going to take a ritual that requires X, Y, and Z items that you may have to quest for,
Yeah.
and then this much casting time. And then you could be on your tower casting long-range magic missiles at 100 different enemies in an army.
Mhm.
To support your peoples. One of the biggest differences in a wizard is they have this talent which I cannot pronounce right, but it's like monosyllabic blah blah.
Okay.
I can't say the word correctly. But basically, when you get that talent or that feat uh, that a wizard can get, and only a wizard can get, you can
It's like quick casting, is it? You used to say one
No.
word.
no.
No?
It's those when a wizard casts a spell, they go through like a grand incantation.
Yeah.
Well, if you as a player go through this grand incantation and describe how you want this spell to work, you can effectively change how that spell works on the fly.
Okay.
Like, say if you want to cast some sort of lingering fireball, a fireball that burns continuously after the explosion.
Hmm.
As long as you have some sort of grand incantation that fits that kind of effect, then you can get that. Or you can just say a grand incantation, and if it inspires the DM to have a different effect, it may have a different effect.
That's pretty cool.
Like a scintillating, the scintillating ball of inferno of Elminster or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you cast it, and your fireball blows up. It does its damage, but maybe it blinds the targets as well.
Yeah.
It burns their cornea, and they're now blind. So that's not part of a fireball spell. That's not part of that effect. But as long as you have some cool sort of grand incantation explanation, and you role play it, you
Yeah.
get you get mechanical benefits for role playing well, and not just like an inspiration. Hey, you role played well. You get an inspiration. It's like, oh, you did that really cool. This is what happens.
Yeah. Here's an immediate effect, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Is there anything else about this besides the massive amounts of things each character can do?
Yeah. I'm definitely interested in it. I would give it a go. So if you get comfy enough to run it, like I'd say you could find a few people pretty quickly to play it.
No, I think I'm fairly comfortable running it. I've been trying to come up with a few ideas for some campaigns or some one shots. Low prep improv one shots, but with a little bit more prep and hopefully less improv than my other ones
Yeah.
that last like 8 freaking hours.
Yeah, you got to work on the art of the one shot.
Yeah, well,
Shave it down to three.
you write something. I have a habit of running RPGs like a roguelike game
Hmm.
where you could pretty much go in any direction you want and stuff happens.
Yeah, yeah,
That level of freedom in a one shot is it should really be in a one shot.
yeah. I mean, it's a trade-off. Like, it'll take longer, and I think it's really fun, but it'll take longer. So you need to, like, I guess, inform your players before you start. You know.
Yeah, like that last one I ended up running two different games because of the freedom that I allowed the players to have.
Yeah.
But 13th Age is pretty badass. Like, let me open up to a character. All right. The icons are pretty crazy too and what they represent. In the world of 13th Age, icons are like these super powerful individuals that they're so powerful, but they all nullify each other.
Yeah. I actually
So
think I've read this part of the book. There's like an archmage and a lich and stuff, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I
there,
did read it. I thought it was a really cool idea.
there's the Crusader is awesome.
Hmm.
He's all about stopping the demons, but the Crusader is evil.
Right.
He wants to save the world to conquer it, because if the world is dead, there's nothing for him to conquer.
Hmm.
Then there's the Diabolist, which is the demon chick. They want to destroy the world. The Great Gold Worm, which is
Hmm.
a super powerful gold dragon who is like the epitome of everything good, but the gold dragon uses his body to block the tear into the abyss. So the biggest area where demons could flood into our realm, he's literally blocking it with his body.
Wow.
So
Pretty
this is
cool.
cool stuff. Some races. Races aren't as in depth as any other version
Well,
of.
yeah, they seem to be reskins of D&D races, though, right?
Yeah, most definitely. They're,
Yeah.
they're all reskins of the races that everybody knows already.
Yeah.
But
I saw
like
like
the dwarf,
Tiefling, Warforged, Azamar, stuff like that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
actually have all those. I have characters for all those
Yeah,
races.
that's where I saw them. Yeah, I was looking through the pre-gens.
Um, but like for an instance, dwarves, you can choose to have either +2 Constitution or +2 Wisdom,
Hmm.
right? And then dwarves have a racial. All right, their racial power is that's your best shot, and what it does is that once per battle, as a free action, after you have been hit by an enemy attack, you can heal using a recovery. If the escalation die is less than 2, you only get half the usual healing from the recovery. Unlike other recoveries that might allow you to take an average result, you must roll this one.
Hmm.
Note that you cannot use this ability if the attack drops you to 0 or below.
Okay.
All right. Then there's a feat saying if the escalation die is 2 or higher, when you use that's your best shot, the recovery is free. So dwarves, the toughness of dwarves is represented by the fact that they can spontaneously heal after
Right.
getting a hit.
Hmm.
It's only once per combat, but it's once for every combat.
Yeah.
So that's how in depth the mechanical portion of a race is. It's not like
Yeah.
racial proficiencies, skill proficiencies, weapon proficiencies. Are you this race of dwarf, that race of dwarf? That can be handled all thematically.
Yeah. I don't know. That seems pretty cool to me.
Whoop! I think his internet just crapped out. Uh-oh. We lost the Lloyd. We lost the Lloyd.
It happens sometimes. Internet is not great here in this country.
Yeah.
It sounds like an interesting game, though.
Yeah, it's pretty kick-ass. Like the saves, let's see. Saves are basically flat numbers. Like there's an easy save, which is 6 or higher. Of course, you roll a d20.
Yeah.
A regular save is 11 or more, and a hard save is 16 plus.
Okay.
Those saves, certain things require you to make those saves, like ongoing damage. In this game, you could have like a damage over time. Their damage over time is called ongoing damage. So, like, if you burn an opponent and they're on fire, they take, for instance, ongoing 5. So at the beginning of their round, they take 5 fire damage.
At the next round, they take 5 again, yeah?
Yeah, but they get to roll a save at the end of their round, depending on the attack that set them on fire.
Mm-hmm.
So, if they're not covered in oil, they can make a save of 11 plus, and the fire goes out. They like pat the fire out with their hands.
Right.
Let's say if you stop, drop, and roll, the save might be an easy save. A 6 plus instead.
Yeah, as long as you don't roll in oil.
Yeah, and in this game, ongoing damage stacks. So if you have like 2 guys that cast some sort of fire ability that burns you, and then a third guy poison you, you could have 5, 5, and 5 makes ongoing 15. So at the beginning of your round, you could be taking 15 damage.
Pretty intense.
Yeah, you're not gonna die in a single hit in this game. Well, at least I don't think you're gonna die in a single hit because your characters are pretty heroic. But if you mess up, you're gonna pay for it.
Right on. And so this is a preset fantasy setting. It's not like generic setting where you can play in any kind of genre, time period, whatever.
13th Age is a preset setting, but there's no reason that you can't have your own custom setting and just adapt it.
Okay. No, just wondering, for what it is coming out the box anyway.
Yeah, it's a fantasy setting.
Sure.
It can only ever be a fantasy setting.
Right. You're never going to run Call of Cthulhu with it.
Well, not a modern Call of Cthulhu, no.
Sure.
You might be able to get by with a fantasy themed Call of Cthulhu, but Call of Cthulhu is kind of about the suspense and the weakness of your characters.
Exactly.
Where these guys they're pretty heroic right off the bat.
Cool.
Yeah. But if you want like a cross between, I don't know. I think it's, when it comes to combat, you can play it fairly tactically.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to everything else, it works really well. It's real loosey-goosey and fun to play.
Yeah. I like things that you can kind of freestyle with easily and.
Yeah, it's very interpretive. Like you were here when I was talking about the skill system, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
And how it's tied to your background and all.
Yeah, it's literally a part of your background. You don't have any skills. You have a background. If you could feasibly have some sort of experience with a particular skill within that background, then you could use your background as a bonus to your skill check.
Cool. Yeah, it's cool. Very, very rather intuitive, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Is it released yet? Because I remember somebody saying something about.
Oh no, it's been released. I've already got the books here. They've released the core rule book, a bestiary, a Middle Earth bestiary,
Mm-hmm.
and an expansion called 13 True Ways.
Wow.
I'm not ready to get into the expansion yet. They have a lot more stuff. They have a lot more classes, a lot more abilities, and they have optional rules for multi-classing in 13 True Ways. 13 True Ways.
Right.
They've got a bunch of awesome stuff in that book.
10 is the maximum level?
10 is the maximum level.
But that's per class.
Yeah, no. Every
Or-
class, their max level is 10.
Yeah, but I mean, like if you multi-classed, you could be a level 10 warrior, a level 10 rogue, whatever.
I haven't read the rules on multi-classing yet
Okay.
because I haven't had the chance.
Book, yeah. I get you.
I haven't had the chance to run a game, so I want to feel comfortable before adding more stuff.
Totally makes sense.
Oh, but they got some awesome. The monk in 13 True Ways is, I mean, you thought you like monks in third edition. In my opinion, they don't hold a candle.
Who are you talking to? I didn't like monks in third edition.
All right, cool. Some
I don't
some
I don't
people
like
like,
I don't like monks in D&D actually.
yeah, that's kind of like me with bards. I hate the bard class, but in 13th Age, I actually want to play a 13th Age bard. But like for instance, monks in 13th Age, they're similar to bards in that they have three sort of stances. They have attacks that are opening attacks. They have middle attacks and finishing moves. Right? Their attack sequence works in 3 steps. So in a round, you can open up with your opener. You start with your opener. Then you chain into your secondary attack. And then if the enemy is available for you to finish, to apply your finishing move, you hit them with your finishing move. And each style that they can choose from has 3 attacks:
Nice.
the opening, the chain, and the finisher. Once you learn multiple styles, you can mix and match your openers, chaining moves, and finishing moves. So, you could be like Monkey's Paw, Leaping Leopard Strike, Dragon's Fang, and they all have cheesy, Shaw Brothers era names like that. Monkey spins branch. They have some funky names like that, and I don't know. Me being a fan of the old school kung fu movies, I like that, even if it's not necessarily accurate to actual martial arts.
Did you ever see? I think it was in Ong Bak, where he's calling up the different Thai. What's it called? The Thai boxing kind of maneuvers.
Yeah, Ong Bak.
Name of one, yeah. I can't remember the name of one, but it was like elephant pulverizes tree, and I was like, holy shit, that just sounds like a badass attack.
Yeah. Look,
I
like
love those names too.
I'm looking at 13 True Ways right now. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 additional classes,
Sweet.
and each class gives you a lot of stuff to sort of choose from. Then they have multi-classing, more monsters, more rules, sort of devilry you can get into, alternate uses for devils, all sorts of crazy stuff.
It sounds pretty fun. I mean, if you said you got pre-gens and stuff, I mean, obviously, if you have a lot of interest in it, I'd probably let other people play. But if not, I would definitely like to play it. I would like to try it sometime. So
Oh yeah, I've been dying to run. I've wanted to either run or play in 13th Age before D&D Next became D&D and then was eventually released. The only problem is that at the time I was running Edge of the Empire campaign, and after that, 5th edition was released. Everybody was playing 5th edition, so
yeah,
I never, got a chance to run 13th Age. But I think there's a few people that actually are interested in playing, so I'd be more than happy to run.
yeah,
I
that's
mean,
the great thing about the whole one-shot group. I mean, you can just find people to play just about anything. So
yeah, it's great, man. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but I have a Facebook page, Infinite Roleplay, and
your YouTube channel. Oh, I haven't seen your Facebook page for Infinite Roleplay now.
yeah, I've posted up today. I posted up like 30 pre-gens.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think that's a fairly good amount to start playing the game.
yeah, you could get a good what? I don't know how many players you usually have in a Savage World or a 13th Age game, but
Oh, Savage Worlds is next for me. I mean, either I may start running some Fate, uh, depending on like I want to play Numenera before I run it
Yeah.
because I've had less time to read through that book than I have 13th Age,
Right.
and so I know less
Said
about it.
something, it was like a Freudian slip. I've been thinking about it the whole time for some reason when we've been talking about 13th Age. There are two systems that I've heard quite a bit about, but I've not played either. So
Sorry, man,
Yeah,
I'm disconnected.
yeah. What's up, man? I figured you got disconnected because you were like literally in the middle of speaking when you're like, yes, so well, this is what done. Cut off.
well, guys, my laundry is done. I'm going to go to bed. But thanks for the chat. Thanks for letting me lurk. Like I said, definitely 13th Age, something I would try out. So
Yeah, whenever you get a chance, just look through the character, the pre-gen archive, so you could maybe see something you'd like. And if you have any questions, you could just contact me, and I'll let you know what's up.
yeah, I'm going to go look for your Infinite Roleplay Facebook right now. So good night, guys.
All right, brother. Good night, man. So, do you remember what you were in the middle of saying before you realized you were cut off?
Mm, something about mechanically showing races abilities, I think, something like that. Which is pretty cool. Like that the dwarves are tough and they show that instead of like an extra hit point or something, they show it like by being able to take a hit.
Yeah, they've got a few things like that. Like let me see if I can find humans. Humans, if I remember correctly, have a racial ability that has to do with their initiative. Like they can roll in another initiative and add it or something. It's the racials, the online custom races. There's a plethora of custom, homebrew races
Mm-hmm.
because races are so easy to make.
Yeah.
You give them one racial ability, and then a +2 to one of two different stats, and you're done. Then all you got to do is just add fluff.
Yeah.
See, feats aren't they aren't the same as in like fifth edition,
Mm-hmm.
where fifth edition feats are fucking uber.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
They add so much more to any class.
Mm-hmm.
Feats here, more often than not, are actually not only class specific, but power specific.
Mm-hmm.
So you can add a certain feat to a specific power, but then it makes that specific power pretty badass.
Mhm.
Like
You can specialize in your abilities, I guess.
yeah, or your racial ability. Like when I was reading dwarves, the racial feat allows them to make that recovery a free recovery. You don't use any recoveries up because you have a limited amount.
Mm-hmm.
Like a fighter gets 9 recoveries to start. He doesn't refresh those recoveries until he gets a long or extended rest, a full rest up. So if he takes a short rest, like if he sits down for an hour or for a few minutes, it's a lot shorter in this game. If you sit down for a few minutes, like 10, 15 minutes, and you just take a breather, you can use up to 9.
Okay.
But you're not recovering any of those until you get a full heal up, a full rest.
Yeah.
And a lot of the healing abilities, especially the ones that aren't cast by a cleric, they just say, hey, I'm going to heal you. Now you can use one of your recoveries. Clerics have heals that say, hey, I'm going to heal you. Use a recovery, but it's free. So they have more sustain. Yeah. They also have heals that when you add a feat to their powers, if you don't have a recovery, you can use the cleric's recovery. And as the game progresses, it grows in power so that the cleric can use anybody's recovery that's nearby, any ally, to heal you if you're out.
Mm-hmm.
So say if let's say the situation Juice was talking about before, where the one barbarian is always the one that goes in the front line and takes tons of punishment and can only last 2 or 3 rounds before he's eventually dropped because nobody is supporting him. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If that barbarian was a dwarf, he can use one of his own recoveries. If you had like clerics and stuff, the total recoveries goes down. But if you had a cleric with those abilities, I could then use mine instead of making you use yours.
Hmm.
So we can keep you going. If you're out of recoveries and I'm out of recoveries, I can use that ability at like a champion tier to then siphon someone else's recovery and use one of theirs for you if you're the only one up front holding the line taking damage.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, one big difference as well is that if you play like a combat heavy game and you're always fighting, it says that 5 fights in a single day or 5 contiguous fights, you get an automatic full rest up. Like you don't have to stop and sleep. You just recharge your battery.
Hmm.
So say if you fight a goblin horde, then a couple of gnolls, then a basilisk, and a young dragon, and you're spent. You survive, you won, and you're spent, but you still got the elder dragon and all the lizard men that go with him, the dragonkin, like the big boss battle
Hmm.
is your sixth fight, and you can't afford to stop and rest 8 hours in a dungeon or in the middle of enemy territory. You'll get an automatic full heal up, so you can continue.
It's pretty cool. Mm.
Yeah. I told you about saves already, right? Because you dropped
Yeah.
off, so I can't
Mhm.
remember where
Yeah,
where we
yeah.
left off.
Yeah, we were talking about races when I dropped. Yeah, no, I'm definitely interested. Seems pretty cool.
Yeah, I've got a couple of ideas to run stuff. Let's see, I've got one. I've got two. I've got two that have things written for them, and then I got a bunch of others that are like one-liners.
Hmm.
I don't know where yet to take them, but maybe when I get into the system,
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
can
think
come up with
like
something.
yeah, with me like when I run a system, the first time I've got like a bit like I don't know what I'm going to do, but then once I kind of understand it a bit, is there a setting that's meant for it, or is it like just a generic fantasy setting, or?
There is a setting. There's a world map, and it's more of a loosey-goosey suggestive setting
Yeah,
because the players have a huge part to play in the world
yeah.
because of their icon relationships and their and their one unique thing.
Hmm.
Like, say if your one unique thing is that there's a series of several rivers that they drop into in a sea and they look like several little tips. So the rivers are called the fangs
Hmm.
on the map. Say if your one unique thing is that you're a half orc and my one unique thing is that my family made the fangs. We dug the ditches that flooded, and those were the fangs.
Hmm.
Your one unique thing is now a roleplay part of the setting. And now maybe instead of the fangs being regular rivers, maybe it's a graveyard of half orcs or orcs.
Yeah.
And then it just got flooded by the sea, and that could change the setting of the world. That's also why the icons are built the way they are. They're not named. There's not like King Arthur, the Dragon Emperor, the Emperor of all the lands.
Hmm.
There's just the Dragon Emperor.
Yeah.
When one Dragon Emperor dies, eventually someone will take his place. So you can rinse and recycle the overall loosey goosey setting
Yeah.
and just have your characters change it to whatever they want. Like I was thinking, one idea what I was playing with was that like a demon heavy campaign
Hmm.
or a demon heavy game. It'll probably end up being a campaign. So you know, I can't really think of how to shorten it into a one shot, but the Great Gold Worm is blocking the tear to the abyss with its own body. What if it died? Like, what
Yeah.
if the demons killed it and are eating away at it from the inside out? You know, that effectively changes the entire setting. You've lost an icon.
Hmm. Yeah, and there's a way for the demons to get in.
Yeah, so now that changes the setting. That's a whole new stage to play upon. And that's just thinking about how one icon interacts with the other. The Diabolist interacting with the Great Gold Worm.
Hmm.
But since the Crusader is all about killing demons, then maybe he's rallying people to his forces to stop the demons. And that's like a whole different world dynamic going on. There's an icon called the Three. It's three chromatic dragons: the black, the red, and the blue. They're the next most powerful dragons on the planet,
Hmm.
but they're powerful because they work together.
Okay. Yeah.
There's more dragons, but they're the most powerful of their colors. So that brings them into play because now the good dragon, the great gold worm, is no more. It's dead. So maybe somewhere else on the world is, dragons running rampant and what have you. And
Hmm.
now the three are trying to take control of everything, and it tips the balance and it causes a completely different world dynamic. So every time you play, you can play in the same setting, but have completely different campaigns. And you're not even limited to the setting. Like, if you really wanted to, you can create different icons just using what they did as a basis
Yeah.
and recreate an entirely different map. I have ideas for characters I played in the past that could be the icons.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good idea.
You know, or like what you were doing with the Aztec campaign, for instance. The icons could be several versions of the Aztec, Mayan, and Incan gods.
Hmm.
And instead of being actual gods, they're just really, really powerful figures.
Yeah.
You know,
But they really exist. It's kind of cool.
yeah, that they really exist and they're physical in the world, and they have an influence, an actual influence,
Hmm.
and you could just have a relationship. Like, oh, let's do relationship points. I have a positive relationship with Quetzalcoatl, you know, but a negative relationship with, oh God, I forget his name, Ahura Mazda,
Hmm.
right? And that just means, well, my faith is in this guy and your faith is different, so I don't like that god.
Hmm.
You know, you can easily reskin it as any role playing game, or almost any role playing game. Iron Kingdoms is kind of a pain in the ass to reskin.
Right. Yeah. Hmm.
How you doing, Ray?
Hey man, how's
Or
it going?
not? But yeah, this is going to be an amazing game. Well, I think it's going to be an amazing game to play.
Hmm.
You know, it's just that let's let's turn. Yeah, sure, why not? I just turned to a bard. Where does bards begin? Okay. All right. The very first page of bard is on page 82, and it goes on. Let's see, to page 91. So it's about 10 pages worth of abilities.
It's pretty nifty. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Like options are always good. The more
Yeah.
options you have, the better.
Yeah, this gives you a lot of specific options.
Hmm.
You know, there's one page on page 84. It gives you like the short summary of what a bard is, and besides the abilities, that's all you need to know about the entire character from levels 1 through 10. Like everything.
Hmm.
Your hit points, your feats, your battle cries, spells, ability modifier. Is that my mic?
I can't hear anything.
I'm hearing like a loud interference.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, how's it going?
Alright. Hey, what's going on, guys?
Oh, I think that was you. It's like, ooh.
Maybe the fan. Let me shut that off. Or my computer. With all the
That's
fans
a,
on it.
that's a pretty badass mic to pick up all that sound. So yeah, what's up, brother?
Oh, not much, man. Nothing going on tonight, and I got my wife addicted to Skyrim. So,
Oh no.
like, fuck, what am I gonna do?
I can't play. I mean, I liked the game until I started doing the missions, and then I got to like the last mission, like the big epic battle, in like an hour or something, like a ridiculously
Yeah.
short amount of time.
If
And
you
then I
just
just
do the
got,
main quest, you can get there pretty quickly.
yeah, I got it. I got pissed off, man. I was like, I can't play this game no more. But yeah, who was it? If you guys know Total Biscuit,
Mm-hmm.
I like how you described it. It's an incredibly large puddle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it kind of lacks depth, I guess.
Yeah, promised to be so. But I remember Morrowind. Morrowind was epic.
Morrowind is the best, yeah. I love that
Yeah,
game.
it was. I played the
Yeah.
shit out of that game.
You know, you got different pauldrons and left pauldron, right pauldron, your arm, your gauntlets.
I think the setting was
Curious.
awesome as well, you know. Lots of
Oh,
weirdness going on and a little bit weirder than Skyrim.
Yeah, you like weird.
I do. I like my weirdness.
But yeah. So Raymond, what could I help you with?
Oh man, no, I just seen you guys were in here. Had nothing else to do, so
Yeah, it was just I was just chatting about 13th Age.
yeah, I downloaded the PDF. So
Yeah, if if you want, I can help you with some rules. If you have any questions. I think he was chatting, but I can't hear him.
no, man, just I figured I'd pop in and join the discussion on it, man.
I pretty much went over damn
Everything.
near everything. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't believe I actually got through everything in one chat.
Mhm.
damn.
I thought it would be more in depth than that.
Well, there's definitely more. I mean, there's lots of abilities and stuff you can go into, but like, there's no point in going into it here. You know, I'd say like, because you have so many pre-gens and stuff. Once you put up a game, people can just grab one of those. And I see you left like this, a lot of stuff blank, like the name and the unique
Oh,
thing
yeah.
or whatever.
The
Yes.
icon relationships, the backgrounds, the one unique thing, and name
Mhm.
are not there. Well, that way you can inject a little bit of the important personality into your own character.
Yeah.
I actually got those from through the Pelgrane Press link section, and I've just been collecting every pre-generated character that uses the core rules that I could get my hands on.
Yeah.
You know, gotta give the people options.
Yeah.
Especially when character creation is so in depth. So many abilities to choose from and learn. You'll be sitting there for days reading each character.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I might have enough pre-gens.
You got plenty. I think.
Yeah, I think you do. What was it, like
Lots to
37 or
pick from.
something?
What?
Wasn't it like 37 I seen posted on that one post?
Yeah, I got like 30 something in there.
I think you're good on pre-gens for a while.
Hopefully, to knock out a few one-shots, and then eventually, after the people who like playing want to start making their characters, we could eventually get into character creation once you tried
Yeah.
a few different characters. Because it's so much in individual characters,
Mm.
but the mechanics are pretty simple. Like each ability is kind of self-explanatory. It tells you all the incidentals right there. Like when you're talking about Barbarian Rage, you don't see Barbarian Rage and then have to refer to a page or two
Yeah.
later and then
It's
read
all
it.
on the sheet, which is handy.
Yeah, it's right there. Simple, nice, neat. and OP. But yeah. Well, since I talked about every freaking rule I could think of for 13th Age, uh, I hope anybody that watches this picks something up. If I missed anything, just post a comment, let me know. And if you have any questions about 13th Age or any of the pre-generators I have,
Mhm.
uh, you can find me on Facebook, Infinite Roleplay, and just shoot me a message, and I'll let you know what's up. All right, peace.